today I'm with Amari. So Amari, thank you so much for your time today. So pretty much, I've noticed that some of my clients, some will be very much data driven, right? It doesn't matter. They want to know kind of on paper, right? That the home is 3,000 square feet. It has 5 bathrooms. It's located in this zip code or in this community. And then I have other clients where they'll have a range, right? It could be in kind of the area that they like, more of the feel, right? They need to see the layout, how it feels. And then you have couples where one is very data driven and the other one is more touchy-feely. So I want to kind of know better, how can I communicate with my clients where you kind of, with the different personalities. So I kind of want to learn more about how to deal with that. How do I communicate to one, the other, and then when you have a mix of both?
Yeah, for sure. So first things first, the way that we make decisions is kind of a combination thing. So we have the way we learn to make decisions from like our parents or our friends or in school, right? So we can all kind of learn a process. Then we have our preferences, our personalities, which is kind of like, you can call it the feeling part of the mind, right? So we all are gonna make decisions based on what we actually like or not. But then you also have our instincts, the way that we operate, which is a third piece of the mind, right? So you can think of the first piece is like the thinking part, the IQ, the conditioned behavior. So this is like what you know how to do or not. The second part, the feeling part, is what you want to do, what you like to do or not. And then the third part of the brain is what you're actually willing to do. Okay. And when it comes to making buying decisions, making home improvement decisions, anything, the way that we operate is based on that third part, based on our instincts, which are really going to drive all the actions that we take, unless we like override our instincts with something that we learned or that, emotional motivation. So your personalities, while they will often tell us what the person likes, they don't necessarily tell us how they're making the decision. And so when we really dive into the decision-making process for each person, we're talking about this fun, cool thing called the Colby Index. Okay. So in other words, it's your MO. So it measures your achievement instincts, which is pretty much how you are going to problem solve, be creative, or accomplish any task, whether it's a work task, a personal task. Anytime you're striving to make any goal happen, your instincts are going to kick in.
Okay. Yeah. So real quick, for those that may not know, how is this different from, let's say, the Myers-Briggs or the other kind of tests that we've been taking for years?
For sure. So the IQ test is going to test the thinking part of the mind. Your personality test are going to test the feeling part of the mind. But the Colby is what's going to test the doing part. Okay. So when we want to know what someone is going to do, actually the Colby is the most predictive assessment for determining like job performance, for example, right? Like you can predict with about 90% accuracy what someone will and won't actually do. And so when we think about buying a home, and are we going to be more impulsive? Are we going to get all the facts and all the data first? Are we going to need to check everything off of our checklist? Or do we need to actually see the place, touch it, make sure the quality, the sturdiness of everything is together? That is predictable and doesn't change. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we can override it. So you might be a person who's naturally more impulsive, right? Maybe like I see it has everything that I like, I got a quick assessment, and I'm like, yeah, I'm all in, let's go, right? You can totally override that if you've learned to slow down, but if you don't follow your instincts, it will stress you out. And so anytime you see clients who are like not having an easy time in the process, it means either the process itself is going against their instincts in some kind of way, or they're trying to make themselves make a decision differently than what is natural for them.
Really good example. Let's talk about yours. Let's talk through what your Colby Index looks like.
Sure. So I don't know if you can see this, but I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit so you get that visual. When you are thinking about this in the context of buying a house, right? How much data you need? Do you need the process, the system to be fully detailed and explained in advance? Or are you more like, I'm down to go with the flow and to get there? Are you going to be more likely to take a risk, right? Like in a market now, and what is this, November 2022, the way the market is, are you more likely to take a risk and like jump in? Or are you going to be like, I need to minimize all the risks first. I need to know things before I
see
get
if
all the
it's
way
going
in.
to collapse.
Right.
What these interest rates are going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And then with the implementer, it's, do I need to already have everything done? And this is like a really important piece.
Mm-hmm.
Often if you're a 1, 2, or 3 implementer, you're not going to be the person who's making repairs yourself in the house, right? You're not the person.
So you need it to be turnkey ready. You need to walk in
I
and
need to walk
everything is
in
done for you.
It needs to be modern, refurbished, or brand new.
Got you. Okay.
Like, I don't even want to call a plumber. Right?
Yeah.
But I will if I have to. I'm just not doing it myself, right? So if we put
Hence
all
why
this
you're in a
together,
penthouse, right? Okay.
exactly. If we put all this together, someone with my score who's buying a house, right? Fact finder, I'm gonna need the essential details. So give me like a one sheet that has all the important things about the house that I'm moving into, the age of the home, how much it costs, like all those different things. But I don't need 20 pages of detail about the house. That's too much. I'm not gonna read it. I'm gonna skim once I have those essential things anyway, right?
Okay.
Essentials, fine with that. Cool, we can move on. With follow through, since I'm a 4, I'm gonna be accommodating to the process. I wanna know that there is a process, but you don't have to tell me on Monday we're gonna do this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then Tuesday. Like, I don't need all 1,000 steps. Give me like the template outline of the process, exactly, right? So it's gonna be about 3 months, and here are the 4 phases, and we'll do these key things in each phase, right? Then with Quick Start, if things take too long, I'm gonna get impatient. So as a high Quick Start, I need things to move quickly. I'm gonna say yes or no quickly as well. I'm not gonna take 5 years to deliberate on a house.
Gotcha.
Maybe you'll get 3 days out of me of like, I need to think this over a little bit. But most of the time, my gut is really clear on if I'm all the way in or all the way out.
Okay.
Right? And so I don't need that. Give me all the essential details, and I'm gonna make that.
So then I need to work on making the process simpler.
2 things can be true. Simplify the process, sure, but also the feed forward of this is what the process is gonna be like. It's not gonna move as fast as you think. So if you give that expectation ahead of time, someone who's hiring Quick Start is gonna be like, okay, I know it's gonna take 3 months to adjust this.
Digest.
Exactly. Because there are some things we just can't change.
Right.
Regardless of what our instincts and the way we operate happen to be, you can't change something.
Especially given whichever loan they're gonna use.
Exactly. This also tells us how we spend money, right? How we use money as a tool.
So let's dive into that.
This doesn't tell us our values. That's a different piece. So the content of what you value is not what this is going to tell us. This just tells us how you move regarding what you value.
Okay.
So with my 5-minute fact finder, if we are looking at like budgets and like priorities, right? So we might have this priority. I can adjust priorities. So if something has to change, it's easier for me to make an adjustment to what the priority needs to be if I'm clear on how it fits into the other priorities. Where someone who's 7 through 10 is less likely to be comfortable adjusting the priorities because they've set the priority. Unless there's another thing going on in one of the other action modes, because these also do interact with each other. And so this doesn't tell us if you are going to be cheap or if you're going to be a spendthrift necessarily, but it does tell us if you're going to make faster decisions or not, if you're going to stick to what the budget is or be willing to accommodate it, right? So for you, you're high in follow through and a 1, 2, 3 in Quick Start, right? So you will make a plan and you're not as likely to change your mind once you make a
stick through it.
Right. And so for good or bad, like you're gonna stick to what you decided more of the time than not, right? However, you're a 6 in fact finder. So you can also adjust priorities if needed, but you're generally gonna lean to the I'm not changing what I decided unless it's absolutely necessary. Whereas I'm gonna lean more toward the I might change my mind.
Right. Especially if things aren't clear.
If it's not clear,
then it's a hell no.
I need some more change.
So, if someone is more of an emotional buyer, what do their numbers look like?
The thing about this is this doesn't measure your emotions.
Okay.
This measures what you do after the emotions come into play. Because all of us are actually emotional buyers. We tend to think, oh, I buy things emotionally, or I'm more of a logical buyer. That's not actually true. The only reason you buy anything is because of emotion. But how you buy based on the emotion is what this tells us.
Okay.
Okay. So emotion is the core motivator for everything.
Okay.
But do we get more facts after we feel a desire or the motivation to act? Do we make a plan first? Do we jump in and figure it out? Or do we need to build a prototype, see a model first? That's what this is going to tell you.
So then let's walk through someone's mind. So
cool.
Emotionally, they walk through the home, they like it. What happens next in their mind?
Great. So if a person is a 7 through 10 in any action mode, they're gonna start the buying process first. So I'm a 5, 4, 7, 3. 7 in Quick Start is my highest. Fact Finder is my second highest. Then follow through and then implementer. That is the process I'm actually gonna make decisions in.
Okay.
First, ideas, the inspiration, am I all in or all out, right?
Okay.
That's first. Then I'm gonna consider all the facts and figures and details. Even if you give me the facts, figures, and details first, if I don't know if I'm all in or all out,
So then how do you know if you're all in or all out? Because you've seen it, because you visualize yourself there, what happens first in your mind?
And here's what's cool. It depends on the particular circumstance. So if we're going to see a house, and I come in and I'm like, I take a little walk through. I don't have to touch everything because I'm agree and implement, but I do need to see it, right? So I'm seeing stuff, I'm looking at this, I'm like, you know what? This is it. Like it's a very clear instinct. Like, I'm in, right? And you can ask me as a 7 in Quick Start relatively quickly, is this a yes or a no?
Right. How do you feel? Okay. And you know.
And if I don't know, it means it's a no.
Then it's a no.
Something that's not.
So if you're wavering, more than likely by the time you get home, it's a no for you.
It's a no.
So then talk to me about follow through. How does that play into it?
Yeah. So follow through doesn't tell us do you follow through or not. It tells us how you follow through.
Okay.
Right. And so I'm gonna turn this back to you because you bought some houses and you also sell them. Right. When you think about your decision to buy a house, where was your checklist in the process? Did you have a checklist?
So I have a checklist, but I'm also very emotional. I'm that type of person where I have to see it, I have to be in it, and once I visualize myself in the space, I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
So even though I'm like, I want 5 bedrooms, when I get there, if it has the layout and I visually like, oh, I love the yard, my priority may change.
And that's a good point because the 6 in Fact Finder that we mentioned you can adjust the priorities based on the other priorities. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're like, okay, here's my list, but here are the most important things on the list. The essentials, right? Mm-hmm. If it has the essentials, that's usually what determines if this is a priority to actually move into it. Okay. Right?
And so let's say someone is a 1 or 2 on follow through. Mm-hmm. What do I need to look out for?
Yeah, so these are gonna be the people that you're gonna wanna stay on top of, right? If there's a whole lot of forms to let me start here. Yeah. All of us procrastinate.
Yeah.
But for different
reasons. And we all
hate
forms. Yeah.
For different reasons. You'll procrastinate if you don't have all of the steps, all the pieces of the puzzle to create a plan from, right? As an initiating follower. I'm an accommodating follower, so I'll procrastinate if I don't have a template to follow or a process that already exists that I can see and adjust. Mm-hmm. A 1, 2, or 3 is going to procrastinate if there's too many forms to fill out, too many steps to complete, right? Okay. And so these are the people you usually have to stay on a bit more because it's stressful for them to have to do all those different pieces.
And that's real estate.
That's real estate.
So then for your last one, where you have 3 in implementer, how does that play in?
Yeah, so implementer is the degree to which we need to be hands-on. So let's say you and I both walk into a house. I'm a resistant implementer. You're an accommodating implementer. So I think we were like 5 or 6.
Yeah,
right?
right in the middle.
So we both will need to go into the house. You're gonna need to touch more things in the house than I will. I can just look at it and be like, oh, like when I came into this place, I could clearly see that this matched most of my expectations.
So you brought up something good where you need someone else. So
Yes.
couples, you know, what do you find that works the best with couples? So let's say you have one that's high on fact finder, one that's low on follow through. Does that work? Because then
Yeah. The cool thing about couples is, hypothetically, you could be in a relationship with anyone of any MO, right? So even if you're at 2 extremes, like you can still be in a relationship. The MO is not what makes somebody compatible with them.
Okay.
It's your expectations of how a partner should be, and whether or not your partner's MO matches your expectations. That's where we get into.
So
the
if you're
relationship
expecting the other person to fill out these forms, that's where
and they're
we need
one
to have
to
that
agree,
conversation.
and it's like,
Okay.
we're not doing that. It just can't be done.
Okay.
Right? And I'm saying that playfully because we all can do anything if we have to, right? Like it's required, I gotta figure it out. This does not tell us what we can and can't do. This tells us how we're gonna do the things we need to.
Right. Okay.
This just tells us how you're gonna go about
That's a different conversation. How we fix that.
We're creating or problem solving our own
Okay.
preferences. Yes.
All right.
Different
Awesome.
conversations. And as a relationship coach and matchmaker, like these conversations are what I help clients do all the time. So we for sure can, but this isn't the only tool when we're talking about those other parts, the values, the personality. We got to look at the gestalt, the whole picture, because that's going to give us the best information.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining in. I hope you've learned a lot today. I'm Jata.Carty, your favorite realtor.
And I am Prince Amari, your favorite relationship coach and matchmaker. Also, the Kobe Index, if you want to take this, as I mentioned earlier, it is the most validated, reliable assessment that actually measures your instincts for taking action, for achievement, for all those things. And it's normally about $55. But if you hit that link under the video, I have a 20% off special just for you. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
See you next time.